Thank you, Gautam, for starting this meeting. And now we're going to be today. We have a wonderful speaker, somebody whom I have known now for a couple of years as a colleague in higher education, and also as a professional who is par excellence. We have today with us Ms. Rajita Kulkarni. Rajita is a management graduate of Bombay University. She's a banker. She had been a part of Citibank for a very, very long time and grew right from the front office going over to heading some of the major functions of Citibank. And subsequently, today, she heads the Shri Shri University set up by Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji in Bhubaneswar. Rajita, as I said, is not only one who has transformed herself from a banker to an educationist, but she's also one of the best known transformers of human beings. And I was reading her book, The Unknown Edge. I could see the different dimensions of her personality. I could really see through that. And what I saw in that was that she was a lovely coach. She's a motivational speaker, a global speaker, having rubbed shoulders with some of the world's powers, the prime ministers and the presidents, heads of the state and the parliamentarians across the world, traveled extensively within the country. Today, apart from the fact that she heads the university, she has also been deeply involved with the Art of Living Foundation itself. She's been a master trainer there. She's one of the most sought after, I would say, or rather I would use the word, she's one of the favorite disciples of Guru Ravi Shankar Ji, Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji. And I saw that in person when we had him speak a couple of years ago at Vigyan Bhavan, where we had the higher education conference of the FICCI itself, which I was which I had been advising earlier. I was chairing that higher education board. She's an influencer. She's a leader. She's a highly creative person, as you will see. She's a spiritual seeker. But above all, she's a master storyteller. And that is how I would like to introduce Rajita Kulkarni to you. She has recently written a book on her experience on 26/11, where she and her husband were trapped in Taj when the terror struck Mumbai. A night I don't think any of us can ever forget. A night of terror. And the 3 days that followed, where we did not know what's going to be happening around, who has attacked us, and why has somebody really attacked us? Why Mumbai of all the places? Several questions, and above all, the human story that was unfolding as we were really going through the entire episode itself, the terror itself. So let me start by saying that Rajita, 26/11, we all remember as a night of terror. A night when almost every Mumbaiker felt helpless, felt anger within us, and frustration as to why things are not really happening. Mumbai has been under attack for a couple of years earlier than 2008. But this was one of the worst possible attacks that we had seen. We had also heard the stories of that little young boy who died, the Jew, the little young family, not died, but the family that died in that episode itself. So I'd like to hear from you. What was your encounter with terror? What were your feelings at that time? And let me just push it across furthermore, that not only feelings, but your experience at that point of time. Ranjita.
Firstly, Dr. Saxena, namaste to you. And I want to start by thanking you for making me a part of this evening, and to President Gautam Chande for inviting me and making me part of this group meeting that you have today. And I must say, Dr. Saxena has been my teacher, and to receive this kind of an introduction from your teacher, I think is a very big day for me today. So I would really start by offering my pranams to you, Dr. Saxena. You have taught us, you have guided us, you are continuing to do that. And hopefully with that teaching, we are moving ahead in life in a positive, productive way. So thank you for your very, very kind introduction. You are a towering personality, and you said such high words for me. Thank you very much. Yes, you have asked me about that event and that experience. Of course, for all of us Mumbaikars, I think that event has, I think, in a way, reshaped our lives, whether we were in the hotel on any of those locations, or we were watching it and experiencing it. But I think there is nobody in Mumbai who was left untouched by it. And even today, 13 years later, I think we talk about it with almost the same intensity as when that event happened. So it was a very normal day of my life. I remember still it was a Wednesday. And Dr. Saxena, I was very busy at work. I was with Citi at that time. I used to head a couple of functions for our consumer finance business for Asia Pacific. So about 12 countries in that geography were part of my portfolio. And the following week onwards, I was going to take a long holiday for 3 weeks because my sister-in-law was getting married in Canada. So typically, as the week is before you go for a long vacation, it was a lot of meetings winding up. So the days were very, very busy. For my husband also, it was a busy time. We used to own a mutual fund at that time called Lotus Mutual Fund. And as you remember, that was the peak of the global financial crisis. It was a fund with the Temasek, government of Singapore, Temasek. And, it was decided to sell off the fund. So he was also extremely busy with meetings and negotiations, and he was coming like 4 or 5 in the morning sometimes home. So it was professionally a very tough period for him, for us busy period. And personally, it was contrasting with a very happy period because we were preparing for this wedding in the family. And I was on the board of the World Forum for Ethics in Business at that time. Today, I'm now the president since about 8-9 years. And one of my co-board members was a member of the European Parliament, a German lady called Erika Mann. And 2611, I was in Brussels because we have an annual conference every November in the European Parliament. And I was at the conference, and she mentioned to me that we are coming as a delegation of 22 MEPs to India. So they were going to Delhi and coming to Bombay. And she said, "Oh, you are in Bombay, Rajita, we should catch up and, have a meal together." So normally we would invite people home, but we were preparing for this wedding, a lot of packing, all of that going on. So I thought it's a better thing we can, meet her in a restaurant. Otherwise, we are absolutely not the type of people who go out on a midweek night for a dinner. So we decided to meet her, and they were staying in the Taj. So we went to meet her, and unfortunately, we barely just entered the restaurant, and all the firing started. So this is a wedding season also in our country. So there were many weddings listed in the Taj. So I thought it must have been some crackers, because I've never heard a gunshot in my life. So I didn't know what it sounded like, but it sounded like crackers. And when they kind of intensified, she said to me, Dr. Saxena, she said, "We are under attack." I said, Erica, this is Mumbai. This is the Taj Mahal Hotel. It is one of the most secure places that you can be in. We cannot be under attack. I also had this feeling of, as an Indian, I should defend our Indian safe space, being a safe space. But she kind of was quite convinced. She has been part of conflict resolution in Jaffna, etc. at that time. So, well, it started folding as first there were a lot of rumors. Somebody said it's a gang war, somebody said there is some brawl between guests, but then slowly the news started trickling in, and it started emerging that we were part of a full-blown terror attack. And it got worse and worse and worse through the night. It got really worse for about 10-12 hours. And luckily on the next day, we got rescued by the NSG commandos. And by the time, of course, we reached home, it was noon. And so it was a absolutely scary night, to say the least. Dr. Saxena, we teach in management the cycle of change. We talk about disbelief, and then fear, anger, acceptance. We all talk about the cycle of change. That night was a night to experience that. Firstly, we couldn't believe that this can be something like this happening, right? Then as information came in, it moved into disbelief. And then, of course, there were extremely scary moments, and then a lot of anger, sometimes a lot of helplessness, because you are not in control of your life and your safety, and that can be an extreme. I mean, you can only imagine how devastating that can be. So we all, I think, went through those cycles, and definitely a lot of hope and faith at the same time, because you want to pray for the best. I know that night, I mean, I come from a background, we have all been taught a lot of chanting, and we believe in it. And I was thinking, who should I pray to, who will save me? So it was, really a lot of prayer, a lot of prayer, helping each other. A calamity can really bring forth the best or the worst of humanity. I experienced both of that in that night. And coming out of I remember we were hiding under a table. And at 7:25, my BlackBerry, we used to use the BlackBerry at that time, if you remember. I used to have a BlackBerry. And in city, we used to have data and voice on two different instruments, thanks to the control situation. So on my BlackBerry, alarm went off because 7:30 a.m. I had a conference call with the Korea team. And for that moment, I realized, oh my God, now work is also this part of life. And, an event like this puts your life in context, which this pandemic has done for us. We have all gone through an extremely tough 2 years. We still are going through it, the unpredictability, the uncertainty of it, and how it has impacted us and our families. And I think the raw face of life has come in front of us, all of us, these 2 years. It happened that night also. And the value of life. I remember praying that night that, doesn't matter. Maybe, some karmic thing is there, and maybe I need to be hurt somehow. Doesn't matter if I get hurt, lose a limb, but I want to live. I really realized how deeply precious life is. And coming out of an experience, an event like this, it has completely reshaped my life, my thinking, what I want to do with my time, how I want to spend my time. And a lot has changed after that. A deeper appreciation for relationships, for what is the true wealth of life. After that event, thanks to the Art of Living, we have presence all over the world. So many people praying for you, wishing for you. People were writing to me, people who I didn't even know that, we are so happy you're safe. And I was thinking, oh my God, my life is mattering to people. So the realization of how much there is love and care for you around the world, it was very empowering. It was very, very empowering. It helped us bounce back. My own spiritual practices of meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, all of that was a big, I think, springboard for me to bounce back to normalcy. And it was a very traumatic period because, we were lucky to come out. So many were not. And to live life in that paradox of, is very, very tough, very tough. And to come to terms with it. But I think, yeah, sometimes that is what it is. And it is up to us to then take charge of what is left of our time or what is received as a bonus. I always say in many forums that this is a bonus life we are living. That night, Dr. Saxena, we missed the terrorists 5 times. All this I realized in retrospect, when we started reading all the reports, and so many CCTV footages started coming out. So 5 times it happened that we ran from a place and they came there, or we reached a place and they had just left from there, something like that. So all that we came to know later. But I think suffice to say that not a day passes by when I'm grateful just for life. After that incident, for a few years, there used to be a little bit of a joke in my family and friends and colleagues that don't fight in front of Rajita, because if people would fight Dr. Saxena, I would say, you know what, you're fighting for such a small thing. You are alive, you are healthy, and you are worried about this small little matter. That realization is, I think, a very, it can fill you with a sense of power to do more, to do good, and at the same time, a sense of dispassion. So passion and dispassion. जब ये बार बार याद आता है कि अरे जिंदा है, कितने लकी हैं, तो उसमें एक अलग तरह की ऊर्जा आती है, एक अलग तरह का एनर्जी आती है कि ये टाइम है, इसको यूज करें. एट द सेम टाइम जब एक्सपीरियंस हुआ कि वो ऑलमोस्ट ना ही रहे, तो इतना एक वैराग्य भी आ जाता है, डिस्पैशन आ जाता है. So I gave away a lot of my things at that time because I felt, we kept thinking if we had just gone off that night, then such a problem for people to, clear back after us. So we gave away a lot of stuff. So, yeah. So I don't know if I was, yeah.
Right. Rajita, as you write in the book, and as I was reading it, you have also talked about many divine interventions that happened, your experience there. Would you like to recall some of those experiences of yours as you write in the book, as to whether it was, let us say, an encounter there with somebody banging the door, or you people moving going through the chambers, let us say you moving out of Taj, and then even walking down to Regal, and how the taxi really came and how the person came, just asked you to whether you would want to go to Cuff Parade, and which is where you stay.
Yeah. So I have always been a believer in miracles. For me, the mystical aspect of life has been a very integral part of my understanding of life from a very young age. My grandmother, my Dadi ji, was a very, very learned woman. She would read the Bhagavad Gita every day. I've written a lot about her in my book, and she would tell us so many stories, and from at different ages of life, whatever that time was relevant to our understanding. And one of the things she would always say that one of the big blessings of human life, as written in our scriptures, is to have an interest in something beyond the material. Actually, three things. One is to get a human birth. Our scriptures say that three things are a big blessing for us. One is to get a human birth. We all have gone through a lot of evolution. I know there are some scientists and medical professionals here. We all know that. But in a more spiritual way, I think to have a human birth is very, very blessed. Second, to have interest in something beyond the material. We are all successful professionals. We are all committed to growing our professional careers, businesses. But to have a little bit interest beyond that, like what you do in Rotary, Seva is such a huge part, all the service that you do. It is, stepping beyond the physical, beyond the material. And I will take it one step ahead to even the spiritual plane of life. And third is to have a living enlightened master as a guru. So ever since I met Gurudev in the early 90s, I have had many, many mystical experiences. Many of them I have written about also in the book. And it is there is a Sanskrit word for that called atarkya. Atarkya means beyond logic. Dr. Saxena, we are teaching in our classrooms. We teach logic, we teach rationality, we teach the pursuit of intellectual excellence. But our intellect is only one of the levels of our existence. We have 7 levels of our existence. And so going beyond the intellect, I think opens our mind to a huge space of existence that's not cognizable by the intellect. So for me, I mean, we lightly say that we don't believe in miracles, we depend on them. So that night I had many, many mystical experiences, miraculous experiences. And I know for sure that those are real. So sometimes, they can, somebody can say who's very intellectually sharp can say, हाँ ये सब, it's all airy-fairy, इसमें कुछ नहीं है. But when you experience it as a reality of your moment at that time, then it is your truth. And I experienced it in many ways, and that gave me a sort of reassurance that somewhere something is watching over us, and that is why also I call the book The Unknown Edge, that as we go through life, when we are younger, we more or less live the life with the comfort that we are being looked after. All of us who have little children here have had children. Our children also live like that because as parents, they know we will watch over them, take care of them, even in the toughest moments. And we have all lived like that. I think somewhere as we grow older, that realization becomes little goes at the back of the mind. And that's something known, unknown, whatever it is you call it, I think nurtures us, guides us, cocoons us through our life. It only needs us to sort of little bit open ourselves to it. So I'm very grateful for these experiences, Dr. Saxena, because even to have them come your way is, you cannot make it happen, right? You cannot make a rainbow happen. It has to happen, and then you can enjoy it. So for me, it was like that night specifically, but otherwise also, yeah, we are encountering them in a big way.
Yes, wonderful, Rajita. And my next kind of an issue that I would raise, and let me tell you, all Rotarian friends, that This is a book which both my wife and I read from cover to the last page of this book. And we just couldn't leave it till the time that we had finished it. It is such a powerful kind of a story in it of Rajita's experience, Rajita's mystical experience, and the journey which she has talked about it. So let me come back again on the book, and I can again relate it to the incident. How did the spirituality, you have talked about it, that you had been meditating, you were you were with Gurudev since 90s itself, and so therefore from that kind of a point of view, you had been practicing a whole lot of I would say the principles of meditation or the meditation itself, which was just there. So how did this spirituality, how did this show your journey, spiritual journey, and the faith in Guru influence you and your life? There's also your husband, Ajay Bagga. And let me also mention, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ajay Bagga is also a financial expert or a finance professional, one who has headed Citibank, or one of the functions of the Citibank for a very long time. And of course, you just mentioned about, the different aspects of his in terms of owning a mutual fund, which they were selling off in 2008, following the financial meltdown, and then subsequently the work that she had done in GE. I mean, many of us who have been banking with Citibank, we have seen Ajay Bagga's letters signed by Ajay Bagga in terms of things, right? Am I right, Rajita? So anyway, we'll go over to something else. So how did the spirituality and faith in Guru really influence you, your life, and at that time gave you the confidence that you will survive?
Yeah, it is the anchor of my life, Dr. Saxena. It is the foundation of my life. It is said you cannot learn archery on the battlefield. So, that for example, since we are talking about this particular incident, that night, if it was not for my meditation practice, and even thereafter, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I know so many people who took years to come out of it, to recover. Also, it took us time. It's not that we were switch off on the next day, but I think it was much more. I mean, yeah, it was a faster comeback for us. Buddha talks about three concepts, Dr. Saxena: Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Buddha is the master, the Guru. Dharma is the knowledge, the wisdom, and Sangha is the Sangha, the company. Tumhara apna sang jo hota hai. So for me, all these three were important. Gurudev himself, I think most of you must have had a chance to hear him, see him sometime, maybe interact with him. He cannot be described in few words. I remember that time when this thing happened, Gurudev was in Bali. Every year around that time, we used to have a retreat in Bali, silence retreat. People from all over Asia Pacific would join. He was in Bali. And I remember mentioning to Gurudev that Gurudev, Mumbai is really, really suffering, bleeding, because it was a white week for us. No, we were ourselves also going from, unfortunately, funeral to funeral. So many people we knew who were then, we realized, in different places, didn't make it. Anand Bhai Bhatt, so many such doyens of Mumbai. So I remember Gurudev had a very big schedule at that time, and he planned much in advance. He changed everything, and he was able to come to Bombay for a day. And I remember he said that It doesn't matter till what time it takes. I'm available. Whoever wants to come can come to see me. And till one night, till 3:30 in the morning, people were just, because when you get in a trauma like this, how do you heal yourself? And only I believe that the presence, the aura of the blessing of an enlightened master can give that kind of healing touch which you need. So, of course, Gurudev himself, at a personal level, at an institutional level, we have a lot of trauma relief programs, Dr. Saxena. So all our teachers, we did so many of them in Taj, in Oberoi, in different locations for our CST station staff, like everywhere. We do it all around the world. So at that time, for 5-6 months, this was going on at an institutional level. So definitely, without that, without that healing touch and without the guidance, it would have not been possible. And then the knowledge, the wisdom, the practices, so meditation, because a trauma so deep has to be, it is like it has to be uprooted and thrown out, right? You cannot band-aid it. If you band-aid it, then it still stays inside. Now, how do you do it? It is only that which can touch you deep in your consciousness, can rid you of that deep-seated trauma in your consciousness. ऊपर से तो आप नहा लोगे, अंदर का क्या करें? कौन बताए कैसे निकाल? जिसको पता है कॉन्शियसनेस, वही तो बता सकते हैं, नहीं तो कहाँ से हम सीखेंगे? So that, and then the sangha, being in the company of meditators. I remember at that time, people just kept coming to be with us, stay with us, just uninvited. Say we come for 3-4 days to stay with you. Some of our Swamijis are also. इतने लोग आते हैं, फिर तुम इतना busy हो जाते हो, खाने बनाओ, organize करो, time ही नहीं मिलता फिर. So all three are needed: the master, the knowledge, and the sangha. It is also said, Kali Yuge Sanghe Shakti. We are in Kali Yuga, Kali Yuge Sanghe Shakti. तो जो संघ में power है, which is why whether you see Art of Living, whether you see the Rotary, whether you see Lions, we are all संघास. हम साथ आते हैं और काम करते हैं, उसमें बल है हमारे काम में. अकेले अकेले हम इधर उधर जाके कितना करेंगे? So the sangha is powerful. So for me, all three were extremely, I think, important and necessary also. It is, even now in the pandemic, it's the same thing. Apna sang, whether it's virtually, physically, however we are being together, the practice, the knowledge, and the master, all three. So for me, I feel that also is a blessing, the blessing of faith. Somebody asked me the other day, Dr. Saxena, how come you have faith? I said, I cannot believe that a question you can ask me. One of my, like a senior lady, she said, how do you have faith? I said, I don't know how you live without faith. We sleep in the night with the faith that we will wake up. Otherwise, so we can't sleep also in the night. So through the day, we are demonstrating faith in small, tiny ways without even realizing it. When the doorbell rings, we open it with the faith that, somebody nice will only come, that we won't be attacked. So faith is the basis of our life, I think. And इसको इसीलिए श्रद्धा कहते हैं संस्कृत में. And the faith in unknown is श्रद्धा. तो faith तो अच्छा है one level, but जब श्रद्धा हो जाती है कि मुझे पता नहीं है, पर मुझे एक फीलिंग है कि मेरा ठीक होगा, अच्छा होगा, ये बहुत empowering है. If we don't have that, which is why today, we all see so many situations in our student community, so many challenges, mental challenges, psychosomatic challenges. And that, how do you assuage that? No, how do you say, don't worry, you will be fine, you are taken care, don't worry. कितना भी बाहर से बोले, वो होता नहीं है जब तक वो अंदर से नहीं आता. और अंदर से कैसे आए, मुझे मेडिटेशन से वो ब्लेसिंग मिली है, ऐसे मुझे लगता है. Because when you go deep within yourself, and you get connected to yourself, then you get connected to a vast, I think, infinite space of possibilities. And when you're at home only, you can call others home. So when you're connected to yourself only, then you can get connected to that around you. So I think that was definitely helpful. And of course, the family, friends, we all know that is there. But I always say this, Dr. Saxena, जिस दिन हम रूट कनाल करके आते हैं, मान लीजिए डेंटिस्ट के पास, तो थोड़े दिन फिर टूथब्रश ज्यादा करते हैं या उस दिन रियलाइज होता है कि ब्रशिंग का कितना महत्व है, 2 बारी बोला था, बचपन से सीखा था, करना चाहिए. So I realized the incredible power of my practices even more, and I'm seeing that around the world. Whenever any man-made or any natural calamities happen, we do the trauma relief programs, teach meditation. Tsunami jab hua tha, I remember people couldn't see a cup of water. They couldn't drink water because there was so much trauma with the water consuming and destroying everything. The only way to remove such deep-rooted fear and trauma is through some of the practices, which even these 2 years now has got borne out so much focus back on our mental strength and well-being. So I think that is what has helped even these years for us.
Great. That it's lovely what you just mentioned about it, and I quite agree that perhaps without faith you can't live life. And unless and until you have the faith, you may have faith in anything, but the fact is that faith that you exist, faith that there is something good is going to be happening.
Yeah, that
is something which holds people, and that has to be, and that is the very raison d'etre of one's life. One can't possibly forget that, which is there. A question that did come over to, or just crossed my mind as I was reading the book. You do talk about it in the book, that after this 26/11, when you were traveling or when you were anywhere, any firecracker would suddenly seem to send the chill down your back.
Yeah.
And whether that was, let us say, the New Year celebrations in Germany, for example, where you were, or later, for example, when you talk about the Paris attack by the terrorists, the kind of chill that you felt within.
Yeah.
So these kinds of traumas that are there, how much time did you really take to overcome that? And has spirituality helped you today become a stronger person as you are today?
Yes,
26/11 or 13 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is what helped me. And as I said, it took a couple of months for sure, because it happens, and that is why when we watch news today and we watch about an event here or an event there, it becomes like numbers to us. But these are human lives being impacted, affected, transformed for life in that sense. So it took a couple of months, and for some time, sometimes some event would trigger a memory or something like that. But I think now one can talk about it like a story, like you recount a story of some movie. I think that has happened, and yeah, I think if it was not for all the practices, and as I said again, the 3 aspects of the master, the techniques, the knowledge, and the sangha, I think it would have been much tougher. It was okay. It was okay.
And did it impact your view of the world? Did it alter your relationships with the world itself, with the people around you?
Yes, it did. As I said, I think before, it reawakened and I think in a very, very huge, alive kind of way, the value of life. This happened in 2008. Of course, it took me some time to sort of make the decision, but in 2010, then I left my banking career because I realized that time was all time is what I have. And, I had a very, very hectic professional career that time. Of course, now it is somehow 3 times more hectic, but it feels a little bit more in my control. And, so I changed professionally. Ajay changed professionally things for him. And I think an event like this resizes life for you. As I said, I think on one side made me very, very passionate. That was about the same time that the Sri Sri University Act got passed, and T.N. Seshanji was our first president at that time. So I was supporting him, helping him put everything together. It started like that. And then, at the same time, I think a deep sense of dispassion towards the feverishness that sometimes life brings with us, right? We all are ambitious, we all want to progress, and with that comes a certain amount of restlessness and feverishness. But when you have an experience like this, then that kind of just, I think it drops. Gurudev always says that ambition should be like the dress you wear, which you can remove and keep. It should not become your skin, which cannot be, which sticks to you. So that in a way happened for us. And a deeper recognition of really the value and what we have, love being, our love, the love we get, the health we have, really the understanding of the true wealth of life, I think happened. As again, I'm saying again, this pandemic has made us realize that. So some of that I think happened at that time. And yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And the last question from my side is, what motivated you to write this book?
So I have been writing a lot over the years. Some of it, I mean, we all write on our subjects, on leadership, on other subjects, and publish, etc. People like the way I write. People find it easy, engaging, and touches them. So a lot of people have been telling me, you should write a book, you should write. So it became like it was a theory, it was a concept that kaise likhte hain book, wo bhi nahi pata tha. But I started just, I said, in case I have to write it, what should I write about? But I started writing, and Gurudev encourages all of us to write. He says, in this world, it is easier for us to talk about negative things than about positive, isn't it? I mean, if 10 of us get together, it is chances that we might, use a bit of that time to complain about this or that is quite high. So we should talk about positive experiences, talk about good experiences, good transformation stories, because that is what is the inspiration then for others. So I started writing on my laptop, here and there, but you know how busy our lives are. So it used to always be an excuse that, time nahi hai, routine nahi hai, travel hai. But when the pandemic happened last year, and then in May, Dr. Saxena, I lost Papa. Papa passed away with a cardiac arrest. We were talking to him at 9 in the night. I was in my home. He was at his home in Sai, and I was in Wali. And we had a nice chat, and that midnight he just left us. And he used to always say to me that, oh, when is your book getting, completing? And I used to say, doing it. I said, one more lesson on the value of time. And with all that was happening around us, I thought, I'm sure all of us also had that experience, that what can I do to make the situation better? Like help people, do a little bit. So I felt this is like my tribute to Papa, and my little contribution to the world. Everybody who has read this book, we have now done, in these past 7-8 months, we've done 3 reprints of it already. People have liked it, read it, and everybody who has read it has been touched by it positively. So I felt it was my little contribution. So last year after Papa went, I really went after it hammer and tongs and with all the work. So I really worked hard. As your student, I can say this to you proudly. I worked hard. I really burnt the midnight oil. Um, my husband was telling me all this hard work you all make your students do. See, this is coming back to you again. Abhi kaam karo. In a lighter note, but yeah, and with the challenges, because in the team somebody got COVID, then someone else got. But anyways, it got complete, and I'm very proud of it. It is a production for me, and something new that I did, and yeah. So I hope that this will stay as one small contribution of mine to the world, to humanity, to infuse some positivity, to infuse hope, and to infuse a sense of a sense of a sense of confidence that there is something which is watching over us, no matter what our situation, and let that be the edge of our life, because then that gives us the power, that gives us the strength.
Wonderful. Rajita, before I take up any questions from the audience, you have also written about something about your other aspect of your personality, which is the creative part, which I just mentioned about it. That you write poems.
Yeah.
So let's get one poem from you before I really get the questions from you.
All right. So I wrote a lot after this incident. Then suddenly I wrote a lot in Hindi also. One of my poems or songs has been sung by the respected Asha Bhosle ji. It is on YouTube. One by her granddaughter, so it's become popular and all that. But I will read an English poem, which I wrote after this incident. Everything became alive for me. So I actually remember telling Gurudev that, Gurudev, I want to go into these camps and, talk a little bit to these people and put some sense into their head. Because, yeah, it became so close and so alive. So I wrote to the terrorist as though he was in front of me, and I will read that to you. It's titled, If Only I Met Thee. If only I met thee. So I'm saying this to the terrorist. You must have been a cute baby, had a favorite toy, chased little chicken with glee. You must have been a cute baby, had a favorite toy, chased little chicken with glee. I was just like that too, though I never met thee. You must have had a best friend, made paper boats in the rain, loved the fluffed up hot puri. I was just like that too, though I never met thee. You must have loved the warm cuddles of your mother, had joyful rides on the rickety merry-go-round, cracked fresh winter moongfali. I was just like that too, though I never met thee. Then when did our lives change? Then when did our lives change? How different our paths became. I turned to spirituality to heal minds. You picked up the gun against mankind. At our core, we were still the same, though I never met thee. That night, we came face to face. I thought it would be nice to meet thee, but I ran fast, only away from you, because you had come to kill me. Later, I read that you died instead, while I live on to a greater destiny. My faith was more powerful than your weapon when you came to kill me. You taught the world that violence never wins. No one should be where you have ever been. I'm sure your heart knew you were wrong. Then why did you come to kill me? Your hatred has made my love stronger. I will work more for peace and harmony. You would have been a different person too, if only I had met thee. You would have been a different person too, if only I had met thee.
Wow, Rajita, it has been so touching and it's beautiful, beautiful, superb. As you would see the comments coming in the chat box. Superb, it's so touching. And I wish the world listens to this, particularly those who go around the streets with the guns in their hand, with swords in their hand, and with bombs in their hands. How wonderful. Thank you. And we now get some questions from from our friends.
I have one question. After, in the next day, what was the first thing that you did? Say the next day, when we all have experiences to a varying magnitude, we feel this is the first thing I'm going to do if I get this or go beyond this experience. So, what was the first thing that you did?
After this, when we came out?
Yeah, when I say after you came out, when we go through an experience, let's say you have an exam, so after I'm done with my exam, the first thing I'm going to do is this. Or after I get this raise, this is the first thing. You obviously had a far deeper and more profound experience. So you must have that if I get out of this, what's the first thing you do? So what was the first thing you did?
Yeah, actually, it was a very tough 3 days, no, Gautamji? As you remember, this thing was a live situation for 3 days. We stayed in Cuff Parade at that time. And we were like in the center of this between the Trident, Oberoi and the Taj. And we still had friends in the Trident who were stuck in the hotel room. So actually those days were a blur. We were just trying to help people. And then the news was coming of people we knew who we lost, etc. So those were very tough days. So I don't think I did anything actively different. Just those days were like that. And then we had to go to Canada for this wedding. So I remember saying to Gurudev, how can I go? And he told me, no, this is your responsibility. You must go and fulfill it. So Gautamji, for us, for about two weeks after that, it was a bit of a blur because of all of this. And then when we came back, actually the first thing I did was to go to Bangalore to see Gurudev in person and to take his blessings and to express my gratitude for the second chance.
Thank you. It's just I'm sure other people will have questions, but when 9/11 happened, I was in the US on that day. I was not in New York, but watched the plane go into the building, and that was something that shook the US. And 26/11 for us was even bigger because those were seminal events which have defined this early century.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So, President, if we don't have any questions, should we say thank you to Rajita ji?
Sure, I will. I actually have one or two more queries. I think I know you said a lot of things. You view people and say what's the point of fighting? You're alive and you're happy and you're healthy and that's it. But has it spurred you on to do more social work or focus on certain areas? Because like you said, time is the most precious element we have. Most other things we can create, time we cannot create.
Yeah.
We can only maximize or optimize it.
Yeah.
And we all have the same amount of time.
Yeah.
We all have, so we just have to decide how we're going to use that time. That's the one thing which God has given us in complete equality. Everything else depends on our intellect. So, but what is it that you see yourself as change, or did you do more social work, or what would you like to tell us?
Yeah, actually, we are all in the same boat, I think, as far as that is concerned, too. You are doing so much, all of you. I think, as I said, so in 2008, this happened. 2010, I left Citi. My first and only professional assignment in that sense, I was with Citi for 18 years, 92 to 2010. And then since then, Gautamji, I'm full-time now with the Art of Living Foundation. I give my time 100% of the time for Gurudev's. I have that honor to, take care of various aspects of Gurudev's work in India, around the world. Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm building this university with a huge, great team and with the good counsel of my seniors like Dr. Saxena and others. This is a big task. I believe the world of tomorrow is shaped in the classrooms of today. So to build a university, value-based universities, and to build a university which is the best confluence of the East and West of the world is Gurudev's dream and vision. So I am working for that. And many other things. I teach meditation. I wear a few hats. So trying to make the most of my time. Gautamji. Yeah.
Great, super.
Yeah.
Super.
Dharmen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that was a fabulous discussion, and I think it has left most of us quite moved, if you ask me. But I think I really appreciate that, and I know I think I saw you get a little emotional in between when you were still recollecting some of those events. So maybe, but anyway, so I call upon Dharmendra to give the formal vote of thanks.
And I would like to say that it would be my big joy if all of you read my book. I can type it here. It's available on a bookstore near you, also on Amazon. And if you find the moment to buy it and read it, I will be so grateful and happy.